Hey everyone, and welcome to my kitchen. This is going to be the start of my new YouTube series, Cooking with P, where I will be trying new recipes from different cookbooks, Pinterest recipes, and of course, homemade meals that I have grown up to love. On today's first episode, we are going to be making albóndigas, which translates to meatballs. Now, you're probably accustomed to eating meatballs with spaghetti, but when I was growing up, my mom would make albóndigas by themselves, sometimes even with a side of rice, but I've also seen people make different variations with some vegetables and other good stuff. So, go ahead and throw on your apron and let's get started. The recipe calls for half an onion, 3 to 4 cloves of garlic, which I'm using minced, so about 1 teaspoon equals 1 garlic clove, chipotles, black pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, a fistful of rice, and half a pound of ground beef, along with 3 to 4 small Roma tomatoes. So starting with the ground beef, I'm just going to mix in some onion powder, black pepper, and garlic powder. I don't have exact measurements, I just measure with my heart, so you can put as much or as little as you would like. One ingredient I did forget was to add an egg so that can bind your meatballs together. If you were to do a pound of ground beef or more, I would definitely suggest putting another egg or two. Again, just depends on how much ground beef you're going to be using. Last but not least, we're going to take a fistful of rice and we're just going to throw it in there with the meatballs. Now for this next part, I would highly recommend using gloves if you are kind of weird about the texture or about touching raw meat or food or anything like that. But basically what I'm going to do now is just mix it all together and form it into little balls. This should give you a total of about 5, 6, 7 balls. You just want to mix all of this in, get it all nicely coated. Now, the rice, I don't really know what it does. I think it just helps fluffen them up a little bit, give it a little bit more texture. So you could always add more rice depending on how they come out this first time, and then try adding some more for the next cook. But that's usually about how much I use for half a pound of ground beef. All right, and now that it looks like it's all mixed in pretty well, I'm going to be forming them into little balls. After you get done rolling your ball, it should be about this size, about fistful. And once we get to the last of the meat, I just like to kind of grab it all together, kind of just mix everything, and then pull my little meatballs from there. Alright, so in all reality, it made about 9 meatballs. Again, just your preference of how big or small you want your meatballs. But for me, this is the perfect size. And now we wash. Alright, the next thing we are going to do is start prepping our ingredients for our salsa. And this is pretty much what's going to make the broth and what the meatballs are going to be cooking in. So you're going to go ahead and cut up your Roma tomatoes. I like to take the ends and butts off of it. And then I'm just going to cut them into fairly small pieces. They don't have to be perfect or anything because they're going to go in the blender. Next, I'm going to dice up about half an onion. And again, you don't need perfect slices or chops because it's all going to go into the blender. Now, as we start preparing everything for our salsa to go into the blender, you can start heating up your stove. I have an electronic, digital, I don't know what kind of stove you want to call it, but it goes by numbers. I put mine on a level 6, which if you're using gas or another type of stove, I would probably say medium heat for this. Now that you have all your ingredients cut up, ready to put into the blender, you're going to throw in your onion, your tomatoes, your garlic, which again, 3 to 4 garlic cloves. I'm using minced garlic, so that's going to be half, 1, half, 2, half, 3, and we'll see if I need more. And just estimate with chipotles. I like it fairly spicy, so I'm probably gonna add, I'd say about, we'll start with 2. And lastly, you're gonna add 2 cups of water to the blender. And blend. I blended that for about 20 seconds, and now we're gonna do a taste test. One important thing I have learned throughout cooking is to always taste as you go. It's a little spicy, but one super important ingredient that I forgot again is caldo de tomate, tomato bouillon. This definitely will elevate your dish and is exactly what I need to elevate this salsa. So again, I don't measure specifics, I just measure with my heart. So, whoops, that's way too much. I would say there's a line right here for the cup. I filled that up, so we're gonna blend and see how it tastes. And once your sauce is ready, you're gonna go ahead and put that into the pot over a strainer so we don't get any of the seeds or the garlic from the sauce, and it's just pure liquid. And now I'm gonna move this around just to make sure I can get all of that liquid out. And once you've strained your salsa into the pot, you're gonna go ahead and let this come to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, you're gonna cook the meatballs for about 15 to 20 minutes. After about 15 minutes, we're gonna go ahead and check the meatballs and see how they're doing. Okay. Now the real way to find out You're just gonna grab a knife and cut the middle, and that will tell you if they are fully cooked or not. I'd probably give it about 5 more minutes. Alright guys, and after an additional 5 minutes, our meatballs are ready. I'm gonna go ahead and take this off the heat and turn it off. And now as you can see, the meatball definitely absorbed a little bit of the salsa, but it's a little bit more cooked, it's a little bit more brown. So we're gonna go ahead and get ready to plate. And now we're ready to plate. Now I personally like mine with a lot of the salsa, a lot soupy. That's gonna be about half of the meatballs that we cooked. And now we taste. All right guys, so here we are with the final product. I'm super excited to try this and tell you guys what I think. It's gonna be a little bit hot, so make sure you blow it off first. Wow. Oh wow, that is really, really delicious. It didn't come out as spicy as I thought it was gonna be. The only recommendation or suggestion I have is to start with less water. I definitely should have used a cup, maybe a cup and a half of water instead of 2. Came out a little bit more soupy than I like it to be, but it was still delicious nonetheless. I do want to dedicate this first episode to my lovely mother, as this is her recipe and has been one of my favorite comfort foods. So I hope you guys enjoyed this first episode. I will be dropping the recipe in the caption below. Please like, share, and follow. And if you guys when you guys try making albóndigas yourself, please feel free to share it with me, tag me. I would love to see any changes and any recommendations you guys come up with on your own recipe. And that wraps it up. I'll see you guys next week on Cooking with P.